On 22nd of March 2022, Kathryn Haun dropped a bomb on the global finance monkey community. Her tweet read, "Introducing Haun Ventures. We've raised $1.5 billion across 2 funds to invest in Web3."
Haun now breaking records with her $1.5 billion debut fund.
If you've never heard of that fund before, that news might not mean much. Venture firms seem to be raising at an unprecedented clip, with Paradigm, Kleiner Perkins and Andreessen all announcing mega funds in 2022. But at second glance, you are looking at a new investor breed, completely overlooked by the masses of ambitious students and yuppies looking to become rich and powerful. It's a new investor breed because there is one big difference. Haun Ventures is managed by a single individual, Kathryn Haun. In the echelon of finance institutions, the amount of money a single individual manages are in the range of tens of millions, around 60 million for Andreessen Horowitz, and an impressive roughly 500 million per employee at silverback firm Tiger Global. But these figures pale in comparison to the 1.5 billion Kathryn Haun is managing, especially given that she does not need to go through complicated investment committees to do an investment like other beta firms. If Kathryn Haun says go, it's a go. And it's not just Katie. In the past years, a high number of individual investors have raised impressive amounts of money and gained mind-boggling power that goes along with it. This is a story about the rise of solo capitalists, how they are going to change the world of finance forever, and what steps a young, ambitious person can take to become a solo capitalist themselves eventually. Welcome to the New Greed is Good series, where we will review unconventional paths to money and power on this channel on a regular basis.
Money, money, money.
Harry Stebbings started from the bottom, but the PE gods of Mount Olympus had gifted him one thing: a deep curiosity for startups and VC topics. When he was 19, his mom had issues paying for her healthcare because she has multiple sclerosis. To pay for the medical bills, Harry decided to combine his passion for venture capital and this new thing called podcasting, and started a podcast interviewing famous VC investors and founders. The podcast soon paid for all the bills.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
Not only has he interviewed absolute VC batemans like Fred Wilson, Mark Andreessen or Justin Kan, his podcast episodes have been downloaded hundreds of millions of times. He is a bit like the Mr. Beast of venture capital, except he took it a bit farther. Today, he is actually considered one of the most prolific early-stage investors at the young age of 25, without any university degree or prestigious companies on his CV. He has raised a fund of $140 million last year. Just him, nobody else. That's an impressive size and works out to a solid income for a 25-year-old. How much does he earn? Welcome to my mini tutorial, VC Fund Economics, aka how to get filthy rich with VC Fund. VC funds usually employ a 2-20 structure that is also very common for hedge funds. 20 refers to a 20% cut the VC takes on any investment returns. For example, if a startup the VC invested in has a successful IPO. 220. So what about the 2? 2 refers to a 2% management fee that is charged on assets under management. So with Harry managing $140 million, he'd get paid $2.8 million per year just for managing that money. As soon as you get above a fund size of 100 million, the management fee starts being pretty lucrative, regardless of whether your investments are successful or not. A win-win for the VC.
Nice.
Harry is just a small player in this newly emerging investor breed called solo capitalists. Their characteristics: they are the only general partners of their funds, That's why the brand of the fund is often directly correlated with the individual. They are managing much more money than angel investors. Their funds are in the tens and hundreds of millions. That's why these individuals compete directly with large established VC firms. But if you are impressed by the example of Harry Stebbings and are ready to become a solo capitalist now, listen, Harry is still a chimp, comparatively. Before we look at the truly big gorillas in the game, you remember my video on the boring path to 1 million net worth before 35? Some weeks ago, I came across a startup that helps you track exactly that, your path to financial independence, or world domination and buying out Twitter. Of course, I reached out to the founder of Chronify to learn more about what he's building, and it's basically the app to my YouTube channel's mission. For example, we talk about having a 10-year master plan often. Chronify helps you track just that, your net worth development in the next years, taking into account your participating career, side ventures, one-off liquidity events, and so on. Through the link in the description below, you can sign up for a free trial without any obligations and start plotting your plan for becoming the next Giga Bateman on the block. Solo capitalists. Harry is not even the biggest player. There are much bigger gorillas in the jungle he's playing in. Josh Buckley, the sole general partner of Buckley Ventures, has set a target of $500 million for its third flagship fund. Funds 1 and 2 already managed hundreds of millions. Elad Gil, former CEO of Color Genomics, absolute silverback investor too. He was rumored to be in the midst of raising a $620 million fund in August 2021, after having raised $300 million 1 year earlier in 2020. There's also funnier gorillas. Turner Novak, who's considered to be the meme king of venture capital Twitter, built a $10 million early-stage VC fund, essentially thanks to his memes and shitposting on Twitter. Everything's possible in the wonderful world of finance. And now, we see the first billion-dollar solo capitalists. Oren Zeev, this Giga Bateman, served as a GP at Apex, a private equity firm, and began investing independently starting in 2007. Today, he reportedly manages more than $1 billion in assets under management and frequently leads rounds, even at the later stage. And now, Giga Bate woman Katie with $1.5 billion in Fund 1. That means she can earn $30 million in yearly management fees just for holding that bag of money. How do you call a female silverback? Anyways, if now you start considering becoming a solo capitalist as a serious career option, let's take a look at why solo capitalists are winning and how you can become one too. But first, are they winning? AngelList, a platform I also use to do some angel deals, took a look. They looked at markups over baseline, the rate at which a certain set of deals has been marked up beyond what we would expect from a stage, and time-matched set of deals on the AngelList platform. Essentially, a timely measure of the recent level of outperformance of a venture portfolio. What they found out is what we would expect. In Q3 21, 7 of the top 20 external co-investors on the AngelList platform were solo capitalists, not venture firms. This is the most solo capitalists in the top 20 since beginning of the record. This means more and more of the top investors in the world are solo capitalists, not traditional venture firms. But why are solo capitalists winning? Finance and venture capital is a very traditional industry in some sense. If a certain group of individuals manages to have massive success doing things in a fundamentally different way, that means the system had serious flaws before that have now been improved by the newcomers. Let's get to the meat of this video: how solo capitalists are winning and how you can become one too. Many people watching this might work or dream about working in venture capital. Or you are simply dreaming of money and power. How to get there doesn't matter that much. Whatever it is, the probability is high that at some point you will be investing in startups or companies to grow your wealth. Here is what solo capitalists like Harry Stebbings do differently in order to win the best deals and raise massive amounts of money from other people. Lesson number 1, be fast. Bertrand Bader is a partner at a VC fund. He comes across a deal he really likes, a startup that offers martial art courses for dogs. He's very enthusiastic about the opportunity but needs to go through endless meetings with his other partner colleagues until they are able to decide to go forward with the investment. At this point, Harry has already given the CEO of the startup his confirmation. Harry doesn't report to anyone. If he likes a startup, he'll invest on the spot. What an alpha. Lesson number 2, be empathetic. Bertrand Bader has quite a CV. He went to Harvard, worked at a bulge bracket investment bank, and started a startup at some point in his career. That was already 18 years ago, and it was an utter failure. If he's honest, he mostly did it because it seemed a trendy thing to do. And if it didn't make him filthy rich, he could still join a VC firm after that, which is exactly what happened. Now, in between meditation sessions and taking his Porsche out for a ride, he's giving unsolicited advice to his portfolio companies. Harry, on the other hand, is a hustler. The guy knows what it takes to build a company. Not only did he build up his podcast to be the most popular media platform in venture, he also started a fund by himself, going through endless admin tasks, hiring people, and so on. Harry knows what it feels like when a founder he invested in struggles, and founders value that. Lesson number 3, be specialized. Bertrand Bader is kind of a big deal. Look at his Harvard degree, his Morgan Stanley stint, and the Patek he's rocking. Endless hours of case studies, strategic thinking, and finance seminars personified as one individual. All that prestige and high-level strategy know-how will surely be of value to the startups he invests in. Except it won't be. Harry never saw a prestigious university from inside, and regarding prestigious bankers, he shares Jamal's viewpoint.
Bankers are like smart enough to be greedy, but not smart enough to be useful.
But he might be one of the most knowledgeable people on this planet to talk to about building distribution, building reach online. This knowledge is of big value to most of the startups he invests in. Harry is a polymath who has 3 or 4 areas of deep knowledge. Not a generalist that knows everything a bit, but nothing enough. And the last lesson. Lesson number 4, be a freaking influencer. Bertrand Bader never did anything to build his personal brand. The maximum was to like his boss's LinkedIn posts back when he was working at an investment bank. Harry obviously built massive reach through his podcast. This reach is very valuable for startups that want to promote their own products or services. That's why startups choose Harry over traditional VCs. Before anyone watching this suffers emotional damage, I am obviously exaggerating a bit to get my point across. There are good VC firms out there, and especially for the big and famous ones, there's a reason why they have been around for decades. Anyways, when you take all of that information and condense it, you come up with 3 ways that you can become a solo capitalist. The first one is all about the memes. Build an audience, whether via podcast like Harry Stebbings, through a newsletter like McCormick, or by posting the latest memes on the interweb like Litquidity Capital or Turner Novak. Already the Roman emperors knew one needs to give the masses the type of superficial entertainment they want. Panem et circenses. What Caesar didn't foresee is that one would be able to raise a VC fund off of that. The second and third way aren't that different from how you would traditionally build a foundation for a VC career. You work at a prestigious fund or a prestigious top-tier tech institution and drop out to start your own solo capitalist career, like Kathryn Haun did, for example. No lower-tier, non-target BS, okay? Pay attention to working for a prestigious institution. You need to be aiming for the Olymp, Sequoia, Andreessen, Google, and so on, because someone will need to give you money at some point, and you want to make sure they are drooling over the prestigious names on your CV. This will definitely not happen for option number 3 of becoming a solo capitalist, where you start your own company. Ex-founders and operators such as Gigabateman David Sachs or Gary Tan are probably best suited to become exceptional investors. Unfortunately, you're facing an uphill battle when it comes to raising capital. Sure, you raised a bunch of money and built a great product, but where is the prestige? Here, what you need to do is use your investor's prestige and try to reflect it on yourself. Don't have prestigious investors? Or even worse, you managed to build a great company bootstrapped? Bad luck. There will be many people who will attempt to walk the path of a solo capitalist, and it is likely that we will see dozens if not hundreds of prominent solo capitalists emerge in the coming years. And maybe your goal should be to be one of them. Or fuck it, just go the prestige path.